yet to be slated. And still he was so overconfident from within that he took this, miscalculated step. So the thing is, if Gandhis have to really survive, or the Congress party has to survive, first of all, they have to have the pulse of the people as well as their own cadres, number one. If you are looking at in the Kerala, they are getting good crowds. In Karnataka, they are also likely to be having good crowds. But what is the fun if their own party is breaking? How can you Jodo Bharat? Your own party is breaking. Then Gujarat election is coming. Many important elections are coming.
Taking off from that point, if in politics timing is everything, or in anything in life timing is everything, then for this entire Bharat Jodo Yatra, this timing in hindsight seems to be awful, not just as a principal notion that, don't overtake or, try to claim the glory of the Congress president elections. Why do you have a Bharat Jodo Yatra? Your party is in a crisis right now.
See, Anusha, this is poor planning actually. If at all he had to move for this kind of thing, he could have done it after Gujarat elections. Gujarat, as per my information, Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh are going to have simultaneous election with Karnataka. BJP from within, they are planning to have an early poll in Karnataka. These are, two of them are very big states and very critical states, Gujarat as well as Karnataka. Once Gujarat goes for election 2 months from now and Himachal, where will Mr. Rahul Gandhi? He will be in the yatra.
Okay. Varun, you had a point to make. Varun, you had a point to make. Please come in. Yeah.
I think it is high time the Congress hierarchy gets advisors who can actually sense things, what is happening. This was a very, very, very stupid thing to have a Bharat Jodo Yatra. You have already sent out a message that, listen, Rahul Gandhi has set out on a Bharat Jodo Yatra at the time when they are going to elect a new president. Couldn't it have been waited? Couldn't the new president have joined in? What kind of message have you sent out to the cadre? Even all those people who wanted to be part of the election, they have realized it now, and probably they know it better because they have been there in the Congress for a very long time, that immaterial who they are, what they are, it would be the Gandhis who would be calling shots. And that this Bharat Jodo Yatra is happening at a time when we have so much of news. Look at the headlines they are making. I don't know who are the advisors. And as I said earlier also, the Congress hierarchy has lost touch and pulse. They cannot estimate what is happening with their own leaders and what is happening on the ground.
We seem to be having these discussions on national television about what the Congress party should do. And you and various other learned people would tell the Congress party that, look, you're not doing 2 plus 2. This is a miscalculation you're doing. Why do you think the Congress party has not been able to get its act together?
Look, I think there are multifactorial issues here. I don't think it's just one reason. One of the reasons certainly is that Mr. Rahul Gandhi has not been able to be a full-time president of the party when he was in the seat. And, his frequent overseas visits and disappearances from public life, I think that has been a major problem. The second, obviously, is that the Congress party is fighting against the electoral machine of the BJP, which is not an easy task, including the media, which day after day does stories about the crisis in the Congress party and how things are collapsing around it and so on, and makes that a self-fulfilling prophecy. Over a period of time, it becomes true when the media keeps saying every day that or finds something in Rahul Gandhi to criticize, but does not necessarily find anything to criticize in the government.
There is enough. It doesn't take too much to find.
Niti, make your point. Niti, make your point.
There is plenty to criticize about the government also.
And so, as and when there is opportunity, we do. I think that's unfair. I think it's unfair, sir. I think it's an unfair blanket statement. I mean, no, one second, Niti, one second. Mr. Raman, I can't make a blanket statement on the politicians of the country. A, B, C, D. No, sir, this is not about you and me getting into a personal debate. All I'm saying is that it's not fair. It's not fair to pass a blanket comment. It's not fair to pass a blanket comment.
How many debates have you done on the economy in the last 2 weeks? The rupee is now over 81 rupees.
So I think the economic crisis of the country, that story is a question that was asked to the finance minister as well when she was with us on a town hall yesterday. Niti, one second. Mr. Raman, please listen to me. Mr. Raman, please listen to me as I close this debate. Yesterday, we had a conversation with the union finance minister of this country. And when she was sitting with a senior colleague, she was asked ask questions about the economy of this country. Thank you, Mr. Raman, for joining us on the broadcast. I'm sorry I'm short of time. Mr. Varun Singh, Sumansi Raman, Niti Jain, Hemant Tatri, thank you all for joining us on the broadcast. Coming back to what we were really talking, we hope that the leadership crisis within the Congress party is resolved and they're finally able to find a leader who can lead the party in these critical times. With that, it's a wrap. Shivani joins you on the other side.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The stunning turn of events in Rajasthan have left literally everyone concerned in Congress smarting and struggling. What was an opportunity to assert their leadership and sort out issues has turned into a massive embarrassment for Sonia and Rahul Gandhi. What was seen as an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone, get a loyalist as Congress party chief in Gehlot and sort out the succession to pilot in Rajasthan, has now resulted in a lose-lose, a no-win situation for the Gandhis and the party. Whichever way this ends is frankly immaterial now. The damage is already done. But the story is clearly not over. The future of both Gehlot and Pilot, short-term and long-term, is under question. The leadership of the Gandhis and their control has taken a hit. And we still don't know exactly who are in fray for the president's post-elections of the party. The entire process has been reduced to being a farce. The cat is out of the bag. A nominee is being selected to be the next chief. The elections are not as free as the Congress would have wanted to project. How did the party get here? How did the Gandhis make such a blunder? And are there only losers, no winners from here on for the grand old party? We will take those questions to our guests in just a bit, but here is the latest on that drama that is continuing to play out. Now, Ashok Gehlot has reportedly dialed Sonia Gandhi just a few hours ago amidst reports that she's quite upset with him after the embarrassment. Meanwhile, Makan and Kharge, the Congress observers, will submit a written report to Sonia Gandhi on what all transpired. They are also very upset. A show cause is likely to see Rajasthan MLAs, while we also learn that the central observers don't want Gehlot to be a candidate anymore for the president elections. But the decision on the new chief minister, if any, in Rajasthan has been pushed back to October end to possibly avoid any more conflict overshadowing the election process right now. Sachin Pilot, on the other hand, the Gehlot rival and contender for the chief minister's post in Rajasthan, is in Delhi. It's not confirmed yet, but he could meet one or some of the Gandhis. As far as who could be a replacement for Gehlot as president candidate, the top names emerging are the likes of Digvijay Singh, Sushil Kumar Shinde, Mukul Vaishnav. Meanwhile, Pawan Bansal has also picked up a nomination form, but he is not revealing exactly who that form is for. In this Congress Rajasthan drama, as I said, there are major implications for all stakeholders. Let me break those down. Now, Ashok Gehlot, he is no longer a favourite. He was a staunch loyalist of the Gandhis. Today, he's facing a major trust deficit with the Gandhis. While he denies being behind the revolt, he has clearly put his relationship with the Gandhis on the line to keep his CM chair for now. Sachin Pilot, he continues to be the chief minister in waiting. He might look at options beyond Congress. He's already become persona non grata, remember, by planning one revolt in Rajasthan. The MLAs are against him. Now, clearly, he has very little support on ground. The elections are near. Sonia Gandhi, the interim Congress chief, the longest-serving Congress president. Bad optics for her and the Congress trying to emerge as an opposition fulcrum ahead of 2024. Even non-BJP parties are making fun of the Congress on a daily basis. Rahul Gandhi, the former Congress chief, the biggest face of the party, arguably. Embarrassment to him as the party continues to be in doldrums in one state after another, even as he's on a Bharat Jodo Yatra. You know, this Yatra is turning out to be tone deaf. First Goa, then Rajasthan. The biggest face of the party is busy in a Yatra while the party is facing bigger questions. Overall, for Sonia and Rahul Gandhi together, what is amply clear is this: the Gandhi writ is no longer supreme. They are losing their grip on both the leaders and the workers on ground. So the big question we ask today, is the Congress party facing a lose-lose, a no-win situation in Rajasthan, and because of that, its effects on the national scene?
100% वही था, षड्यंत्र था टोटल। और उस षड्यंत्र में जनरल सेक्रेटरी इंचार्ज शामिल थे।
किसी भी कीमत पर 19 में से किसी एक को मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, क्योंकि वो जानते हैं कि फिर विंडेक्टिव पॉलिटिक्स चालू हो जाएगी। मुझे पक्की उम्मीद है पार्टी नेतृत्व के खिलाफ कोई विद्रोह नहीं है। सोनिया गांधी जी, राहुल गांधी जी हमारे नेता हैं।
पहले भी कारण कांग्रेस खुद ही थी और आज भी वही है। पिछली बार सचिन पायलट और उनके लोग अलग हुए थे। दूसरा पक्ष को 50 दिन बाड़े में बंद रहे, ये भी 50 दिन अलग रहे।
Only with the High Command they have to take it. सब ठीक हो जाएगा, सब ठीक हो जाएगा, चिंता करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं।
First up, I want to go across to our special guest joining us. Pratap Singh Kachariawaz is one of those MLA faces, a minister in the Rajasthan cabinet who was very vocal with the entire revolt that was going on. Pratap Singh, I do thank you for your time. I want to begin by asking you, ये जो भी कल पिछले 2 दिनों में राजस्थान में हुआ, उससे हमें ये पता चल रहा है कि कांग्रेस लीडरशिप बहुत नाराज है, सोनिया गांधी नाराज है, हाईकमांड नाराज है। आपको नहीं लगता कि जो भी एमएलएस ने किया जयपुर में, उससे कांग्रेस का नाम बदनाम हुआ है?
सोनिया गांधी जी हमारी नेता हैं और पूरे देश के कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ता और सारे विधायक उनको मां के समान मानते हैं। सोनिया गांधी जी का अपना इतिहास से आप जानते हैं, उन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री की कुर्सी के ठोकर मार दी और मनमोहन सिंह जी को प्रधानमंत्री बनाया। इसलिए सोनिया गांधी जी का तो बहुत बड़ा सम्मान हम लोग करते हैं। सोनिया गांधी जी, राहुल गांधी जी जब भी आह्वान करेंगे, कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ता, पहले भी हम जयपुर से दिल्ली जाकर लाठियां खाकर आए, आज भी हम अपनी जान दे सकते हैं सोनिया गांधी और राहुल गांधी जी के आह्वान पर। इसलिए हम उन्हें अपसेट नहीं करेंगे, ऐसा कोई काम नहीं करेंगे जिससे वो अपसेट हो। 102 विधायक जो सोनिया गांधी जी के कैंप में होटल में बैठे हुए थे विद्रोह के वक्त, वो लोग, मैं माखन साहब के कहने से उनको बुलाने के लिए धारीवाल जी को गया, तो उनके घर पे बैठे थे। 92 विधायकों ने इस्तीफा दे दिया। उनका कहना यह है कि जब हमें उस वक्त भरोसा दिया गया, अशोक गहलोत जी ने अभिभावक बन के भरोसा दिया, वेणुगोपाल जी, अजय माकन जी, रणदीप सुरजेवाला जी ने भरोसा दिया कि 102 जो लॉयलिस्ट सोनिया गांधी जी और कांग्रेस के लिए सरकार बचा रहे हैं बीजेपी के खिलाफ, तो इनका हमेशा इनके हक के लिए, इनके सम्मान के लिए कांग्रेस नेतृत्व मदद करेगा। अब की बार उन्होंने कहा कि उनके पास जो माहौल बना कि 102 में से नहीं, उन 19 में से कोई चीफ मिनिस्टर बनने जा रहा है। अशोक गहलोत इस्तीफा दे रहे हैं, जिन्होंने विद्रोह किया था। पहले आपने मिनिस्टर बना दिया, अब वो जब बात चली उनमें गुस्सा था, उन्होंने इस्तीफा दे दिया। फिर भी यदि कहीं कोई बात है तो हमारे प्रभारी, हमारा नेतृत्व जो फैसला करेगा, अशोक गहलोत जी सब मिलकर फैसला करेंगे, हमें मंजूर होगा, ऐसा हमारे कोई झगड़ा नहीं है।
लेकिन पब्लिकली जो सब कुछ हुआ उससे तो गलत मैसेज गया ना। आप कह रहे हैं आप कुछ ऐसा नहीं करना चाहते जिससे कि सोनिया गांधी अपसेट हो, लेकिन अब तो तीर निकल गया है कमान से। ये जिस तरह से हैंडल किया गया एमएलएस ने, क्या वो गलत नहीं था? आप जो अपनी डिमांड कह रहे हैं कि पायलट और उनके कैंप से कोई चीफ मिनिस्टर नहीं बनेगा, ये डिमांड किसी बेटर तरीके से भी रखी जा सकती थी।
एक बात आप मानकर चलना, वहां जो एमएलए की डिमांड थी वो यही थी जो आप कह रहे हैं। एमएलए का ये कहना है कि बहुमत के आधार पर फैसला होता है, तो हम 102 लोगों की बात सुनी जाए और जो लोग उस वक्त कैंप में बैठे थे, कांग्रेस के सरकार बचा रहे थे, उनको अवॉइड नहीं किया जाए। तो वो ये कह रहे हैं कि जो लॉयलिस्ट थे और जिस वक्त जिन लोगों ने बगावत करके सरकार गिराने की कोशिश की बीजेपी के साथ मिलकर, उनको नेतृत्व नहीं दिया जाए। एमएलए का ये कहना था। जब मैं खुद जब माकन साहब से मिला तो एमएलए की भावना हमने बताई।
अब तो ये भी सुनने में आ रहा है प्रताप जी कि कांग्रेस लीडरशिप इतना नाराज है कि वो तो ये अब चाह ही नहीं रहे कि अशोक गहलोत प्रेसिडेंट का इलेक्शन लड़े भी। इतना गुस्सा है। आपको क्या लगता है कि आगे क्या होना चाहिए? क्या अशोक गहलोत को अभी भी प्रेसिडेंट की लड़ाई लड़नी चाहिए या नहीं लड़नी चाहिए?
एक बात आप मानकर चलना, ये जो आप बात कह रही हैं, सोनिया गांधी जी देश में कांग्रेस का नेतृत्व करती हैं और उन्होंने ऐसे बहुत माहौल देखा है। वो वो जस्टिस हैं, वो राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष हैं, लोगों में उनका इतना बड़ा सम्मान है कि वो, मैंने आज तक नहीं देखा सोनिया जी कभी पार्टी नहीं बनती, वो पार्टी चलाती हैं। वो सब पक्षों को सुनकर ऐसा फैसला करेगी जो डेमोक्रेसी के हित में होगा, कांग्रेस के हित में होगा। हमारे पास ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है जो आप बता रही हैं। हम जानते हैं कि नेतृत्व हमें, हमारे ऊपर भी उतना ही भरोसा करता है। नेतृत्व ज्यादा समझदार है सोनिया गांधी, राहुल गांधी जी। वो अशोक गहलोत जी से सबसे बात करके ऐसा फैसला करेंगे जो कांग्रेस के हित में होगा।
लेकिन इस पूरे मामले में कांग्रेस के इलेक्शंस की इमेज तो खराब हो गई है ना। कांग्रेस चाह रही थी ये दिखाना कि इलेक्शंस बहुत फ्री फेयर हैं। अब ये जो सारा प्रकरण हुआ राजस्थान में, उससे तो खुल गई पोल कि ये इलेक्शंस फ्री तो है नहीं। एक कैंडिडेट को चूज करके बिठाया जा रहा है, वो कैंडिडेट खुद नाराज है, उसके कैंडिडेट के एमएलए रिवोल्ट कर रहे हैं। तो इन सब चीजों से तो कांग्रेस पार्टी का नुकसान हुआ है ना, राजस्थान में भी और नेशनली भी।
कांग्रेस को कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ। पूरे देश में एक चर्चा है कि कांग्रेस में इंटरनल डेमोक्रेसी है, एमएलए अपनी बात उठा रहे हैं, अपनी नेता को अपनी बात कह रहे हैं, नेता लोग उनकी बात सुन रहे हैं। देश के समझ में आ रहा है कि एक तरफ बीजेपी में दो लोग शासन कर रहे हैं, मोदी जी और अमित शाह जी, लेकिन कांग्रेस में इंटरनल डेमोक्रेसी है। कांग्रेस ने डेमोक्रेसी लागू करवाई देश में। आजादी की लड़ाई कांग्रेस ने लड़ी और आज एमएलए की बात कांग्रेस में सुनी जा रही है। इससे लगातार 3 दिन 4 दिन से पूरा देश देख रहा है कि कांग्रेस में एक नई शुरुआत हुई है कि कांग्रेस अपने एमएलए की बात सुन रही है। और ये इंटरनल डेमो एक परिवार का मामला, कांग्रेस इससे मजबूत हुई है, कमजोर नहीं होगी जी। देश में अच्छा संदेश जा रहा है।
मैं तो यही कह रही हूँ कि ये बात जो आप कह रहे हैं एमएलए इसकी सुननी चाहिए, वो सही बात है, लेकिन उस बात को रखने का तरीका क्या कुछ और नहीं हो सकता था, या हाईकमांड ने गलती करी ये डिसीजन एमएलए के ऊपर थोपने की? एक आखिरी सवाल प्रताप जी, सुनने में तो हमें ये भी आ रहा है कि अशोक गहलोत ने माफी मांगी। ये कहा जा रहा है कि जो एमएलए के द्वारा हुआ उस पर उन्होंने माफी मांगी। सेंट्रल ऑब्जर्वर्स भी बहुत नाराज हैं कि उनको ह्यूमिलिएट किया गया है जयपुर में।
ये मेरी जानकारी में नहीं है, क्योंकि अशोक गहलोत जी के लिए आप जो सवाल करिए मेरी जानकारी में नहीं है। और सेंट्रल ऑब्जर्वर्स जो आए थे, माकन साहब हमारे बड़े भाई है, हमारे नेता हैं, खड़गे साहब भी बड़े भाई नेता हैं, और उनके सम्मान में कोई कमी नहीं रखी। मैं खुद उनसे मिलने गया था होटल में, और आगे भी उनका सम्मान रहेगा।
चलिए, Pratap Singh, thanks a lot for speaking to us. Let's see how this plays out. As I mentioned at the top of the show, there could be some disciplinary action too. Possibly the Congress leadership will weigh in because they wouldn't want to aggravate the situation in Rajasthan. Let me also go across to our guests now joining us. Arun Anand is consulting editor, First Post. Rashid Kidwai is author and senior journalist. George Kurian is a political strategist, bats for the Congress party. Remember, the Congress party is not participating in these debates. All right, let me go across to Rashid Kidwai first. Rashid, you're witnessing what is taking place as far as this entire mess is concerned. You know, the BJP also changes chief ministers. In some states, they've done it, you know, multiple times. And we don't see this kind of a revolt, even if people are unhappy. In the past, the Gandhi leadership has been accused of being inactive, not doing something when there are revolts happening. This time they tried to do something and yet it backfired. In comparison to the party that they're fighting with, this just looks very bad. It looks poor form, and it also looks like nobody's listening to them.
Absolutely, Shivani. It's very bad optics, and bad optics in terms of what's happening in Rajasthan, bad optics in terms of what's happening at the central level where Congress official elections are there. Having said all that, I think the Congress is in a damage control mode. When I say Congress, I mean both that Sonia Gandhi and Ashok Gehlot or Ashok Gehlot camp followers. So they are trying to retrieve some lost ground and come to some kind of functional thing, because remember, Shivani, the Congress High Command has they think that they have an aura around them, and you see what Mr. Pratap Singh was telling you, it's a sweet music to them that, they're professing loyalty in Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi's leadership. And that's point number one. Point number two is, if Mr. Ashok Gehlot softens stand, it finds rather incredible, but he can still be a contender to be Congress president as long as he detaches himself from the state politics, that being Rajasthan, and allow the Congress High Command.
But will he do that, Rashid? After playing this gambit, do you think that Ashok Gehlot will back out now of, not keeping the chief minister's position and not keeping it with his camp?
Yeah, so Shivani, I think politicians are very pragmatic, so to say, entities. They take positions in keeping with their kind of, what is in the realm of possibility. So,
but
Mr.
Rashid,
Gehlot
we were discussing that 2 days ago. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. We were discussing that 2 days ago, and Mr. Gehlot in public sphere was making noises like, I should be able to do both. Then he said, I should not do both when Rahul Gandhi publicly rebuked his position. But that ship has sailed for him.
Precisely, but so I think Mr. Gehlot was trying to, pressurize, and that was posturing, and he, of course, he overplayed his cards, and he's doing it because what I was telling you that he has no design seemingly to join the BJP the way Sindhya ji had done, or some other people, Ramrinder Singh, or join Aam Aadmi Party, something like that. I don't think he's thinking a life outside Congress. So he's trying to, when you want to have a life within the Congress, you have to bow before the central leadership, in this case being Gandhi's. As I said, that's a sweet music. If that's the script that works, then the Congress would say that, let the bygone be bygone, and there'll be no sense of humiliation by either side.
And I want to come to you. We're also getting an update that the written report that I was talking about earlier, that the central observers will give to Sonia Gandhi, has actually been submitted. Now, it is as per this report, what we were learning through sources, is that they don't want Gehlot to anymore be a president candidate. Do you think that will be the wisest thing? Although Rashid Kidwai believes that Ashok Gehlot could still play his cards right. Will the Gandhis still field him, given what he has done? Or that ship has sailed for him? And the second question I wanted to ask is, how did the Gandhis get it so wrong that they didn't know that pushing Gehlot will eventually bring this revolt? Does that not reflect very badly on them? Arun Anand.
Yeah, Shivani, two things. One, I'll first come to the to answer the second question. What has happened there is that whenever the center is weakened, then the regional power centers, they kind of try to assert their position. And now there is a larger picture in the Congress that now the regional satraps, they know that the central leadership is not a vote catcher anymore. They cannot take them to the victory. What Mr. Pratap was saying on your show, that, and what Rashid was also saying, that there is an aura around Sonia Gandhi and the Gandhi family, Gandhi Nehru family. That aura has been broken down in 2019 because when Rahul Gandhi was the party president, he not only lost his own seat, but only 52 seats were won by Congress, and after that there has been consecutive marginalization of Congress. And see, all these people, they were towing the line what Gandhi Nehru family was saying, because Gandhi Nehru family had that vote catching capability and it could take them to the victory. It could take the party to the victory. But now when the Gandhi Nehru family has lost that touch where they cannot take the party to the victory, so there is no reason for the regional power centers or the regional powerful leaders to toe that line. And that is exactly what is happening. That is why Ashok Gehlot has thrown this challenge, and it is likely to be a trailblazer. You are going to see a number of other, what you may call the rebellions from the assertion of the regional power centers. So you have to look at this picture from, this perspective. And only once this thing has happened that there was a challenge to the Congress central leadership when they sent somebody to elect a particular leader, and that leader was not elected, and that was during Rajiv Gandhi's time. So they have to learn a lesson from that time. That time Arjun Singh was the chief minister, and Rajiv Gandhi wanted Jyotiraditya Scindia, Madhav Scindia to replace him. But and Motilal Vora and Ghulam Nabi Azad had gone there, and what had happened there was that Arjun Singh finally ensured that that Jyotiraditya Scindia, Madhav Scindia did not become the chief minister, and instead of that Motilal Vora became the chief minister, and it paid a huge price for that. Arjun Singh after that.
What has also happened in the meantime is that there are younger leaders of the Congress party that have ditched, even those who were considered to be close to Rahul Gandhi, they've ditched the party because maybe there was a time when there were no options. Today there are options. For example, you're talking about Ashok Gehlot and his aspirations. There is of course a Sachin Pilot and his aspirations. He's reportedly reminded the Gandhis, if not today but before earlier, of the promise made to him, and he's been waiting for a long time for his chance. George Kurian, I'm coming to you. Charu Pragya of the BJP is also joining us. How do you get it so wrong? As the leader, you're supposed to understand not just the pulse of the country, but at least the pulse of your party, your own MLAs, your own leaders. the way things have transpired, George, it looks like the Gandhis are living in La La Land. They don't know what is happening right under their nose.
Well, Shivani, I don't agree to what you're saying. The reason behind is that the central leadership of Delhi is well equipped and have a sense of what's going around in each Pradesh Congress committees. So that is not the case. The Congress central leadership wanted Ashok Gehlot ji to take charge at a national level because he has the potential within him. He has been the loyalist for close to 4 to 5 decades. It's only that we strongly believe in the Congress party that there is no leader who is bigger than the party. The party and the ideology is bigger than everyone. So the Congress MLAs who are the loyalists of Ashok Gehlot, they have put him into an embarrassing situation here. If he had the confidence, they had the confidence within each other, like Ashok Gehlot ji had the confidence with all the MLAs. He should have taken them into confidence, not make a scene which is giving room for the other political parties.
So you're putting the blame not on the knowledge or the leadership of the Gandhis, but on the role that Ashok Gehlot has played. Actually, we're getting some very interesting breaking news. Just stay with me. Could there be a twist in the tail, as Rashid Kidwai was saying? Now, remember, we're bringing you the update that the observers have submitted their report to Sonia Gandhi. And we are being told that in this report, they've given a clean chit to Ashok Gehlot. The action has been recommended against some MLAs and ministers. And possibly Pratap Singh, who was speaking to us earlier, he was one of the faces of the rebellion, could be those ministers and MLAs. Our senior editor, Pallavi Ghosh, is joining us. Pallavi, very interesting to read that Ashok Gehlot is getting a clean chit. Is this some sort of a paving of the way so that he can still be the election candidate or the president candidate?
See, I don't rule out the possibility of him now filing a nomination papers. The point is that him calling out Sonia Gandhi and reaching out to her and also telling her that, my intention was never to disrespect the Congress High Command. Clearly, there was an attempt to, kind of bridge the differences which may have emerged between the two of them. The thing is, in the report which has been submitted, it is basically, kind of a sequence of events which have been played out. And on the basis of which disciplinary action can be taken against at least 3 of the MLAs, which includes like Mahesh Joshi and, of course, Kachwadias as well as Shanti Dhaliwal. But as far as Ashok Gehlot was concerned, there never was an intention to give him disciplinary notice, simply for the fact because he maintained the stand that I was completely unaware of what the MLAs were doing, and therefore I cannot be held responsible.
What happens from here on now? Pallavi, how are they going to put this behind? Because there is, of course, the Sachin pilot situation to be taken care of as well.
I think that's the only hiccup which really remains. What they told us and what sources tell me is that they claim that everything is going to be sorted out. I mean, the next 4 days are going to be very critical. 30th being, of course, the last day of filing our nomination. We'll have to wait to see when Mr. Ashok Gehlot comes down to a national capital. Will he go and meet Mrs. Gandhi? And will he also file his nomination papers as scheduled on 29th or 30th? That's the timeline that we have been given. As to the larger headache about whether who's going to be the chief minister, I think that is something which they want to postpone at least till the results are out. Technically, it's only when Ashok Gehlot, if he's made the president, will they find a need to have a chief minister in Rajasthan.
Yes, and before that, the other, bridge that needs to be crossed is if he files his nomination, and that will be, if he does file his nomination, then he will have possibly the biggest chance. I'm not sure how it will affect what has transpired in Rajasthan. It will still, though, appear that he very much has the backing of the Gandhis as a presidential nominee. Pallavi, thanks a lot for joining us. Let me take this to our guests who are joining us. Charu, just give me a minute. Let me go across to Rashid Kidwai, because Rashid, do you find it surprising at all that the blame is being put on the MLAs, but Mr. Gehlot is being given a clean chit? Does it sound believable that Mr. Gehlot had no idea what his loyalists were up to?
Well, that's where I was telling you that, you must understand what Sonia Gandhi is all about. She has a, thing called Thanda Karke Khao. She diffused that kind of crisis. Of course, it was Mr. Ashok Gehlot who was solely responsible because the CLP meeting was called by him on his name. He was the one who had sent it, who was supposed to have invited everyone. But then I think she doesn't want to, because after Ghulam Nabi Azad and the kind of mess that Congress is in, and the Yatra is there, and there's going to be election in Gujarat and all that. So I think she's trying to do damage control instead of standing on prestige. Somebody can say a bit of a climb down on her part. I think think if Mr. Ashok Gehlot gives a kind of assurance that he would not have a say, he would detach himself from the affairs of Rajasthan, then there is every possibility that he would be allowed to file nomination.
But why will he do that? Rashid, I keep asking you the same question. Why will Ashok Gehlot do that? Being the chief minister and having the sway in Rajasthan is eminently more important and powerful than being the Congress chief. And that too, somebody who, as you very well said on my show only, are not going to have a free run or free reign. So what is going to sweeten the deal for Mr. Gehlot? I don't see it happening.
That his group will remain, that whatever, the existing ministers will remain in the, whoever becomes the new chief minister, even if it is Sachin Pilot. This is one thing. And second thing, Shivani, you must understand the internal dynamics of a party. See, in a state like Rajasthan, the MLAs are, fundamentally, primarily loyal to the Congress. Then they are loyal to Ashok Gehlot. So that's the thing. Mr. Gehlot had a free run because he enjoyed the confidence of the Congress High Command, not the other way around. So this is something, it needs to be understood in that sense.
Okay. Let's see if they also switch their tactic. Charu Pragya, we're getting to know that Ashok Gehlot could well get a clean chit. Looks like the decks will be cleared for him to still fight as the next for the next Congress president position. But the BJP, what does it make of the situation prevailing in Rajasthan today? Forget about what happens as far as the presidential elections are concerned.
I have two observations to make. The first one is that no one really wants to be the party president for Congress, not even Mr. Gandhi. And Mr. Gandhi has his own reasons. But whoever wins these Congress presidential elections, the result is going to be one of the two. Either Mr. Gandhi is going to be bigger than the Congress president, or he is going to turn around and become the Congress president himself. 11 states have already written and asked for Mr. Gandhi to contest the election. So I still don't have much hope. We have 4 days to go. Any which ways this election selection process could go. So I'm observing it. I'm actually observing it in a very, very close manner. And to be a student of political science, I think this is a very interesting turning point for the Congress party, which cannot even diffuse a situation without the interference of a Gandhi. I mean, look at the mess that has been created. Every single time there is a point of decision making in Congress, there is a public mess that is created. And then Congress spokespersons turn around and ask, why are you discussing us? Well, we are discussing you because you are discussing yourselves, washing your dirty linen in public all the time. Apart from that, there has been the use of the word scheme. So there was a letter which was sent out by the Congress to all its spokespersons where only one word is in italics and it says the election must seem to be fair. Rashid ji will back me on this. What is the meaning of this? Elections must seem to be fair. Matlab actually mein to ye elections fair hai nahi. Another thing which we have now started understanding is that the Gandhis have lost their political relevance. That's clear. Otherwise, somebody like Mr. Gehlot would not have done what he has done in Rajasthan. Please, he knew what was happening. Sonia ji is doing some face saving, but
I'm wondering now, even if, let's say, they paper over the cracks right now, elect a next Congress president, somehow figure out a situation in Rajasthan for now, they've deferred the decision of who takes the lead from Mr. Gehlot till month end. Arun Anand, I'm actually wondering, in the long term, are the Gandhis going to forget what happened in Rajasthan? Could it well be that Mr. Gehlot doesn't become the Congress president also and loses his chief minister position anyways? Because I don't think they take very kindly to somebody humiliating them like this.
I think the way Congress is disintegrating, I'm not sure in the long run, Gandhis will be there at the helm of affairs in Congress party. Because this is one of the most serious challenges. See, it's not about retaining Rajasthan. It's more about, challenging the party leadership. And as Pallavi just, gave a lowdown on Mr. Gehlot being given a clean chit. So the Congress leadership has actually surrendered. So this is a very significant thing. It's not just plain and simple, giving clean chit. It was an open challenge thrown by Ashok Gehlot. It was an open rebellion. And the Congress leadership, current leadership, has taken 3 steps back.
I would though say, Arun Anand, I would though say that maybe there were missteps taken by the leadership too. You couldn't blame Ashok Gehlot alone for what has happened.
I'm not blaming.
Yeah,
I'm just saying the situation that Ashok Gehlot was not taken into confidence. The way things had happened in Punjab. Similarly, Ashok Gehlot was not taken into confidence that who is going to be the next chief minister. It was a plain and simple thing that Ashok Gehlot had told the party leadership that if you want to appoint a chief minister, fine, I can leave the chief ministership, but you take me into confidence. He was not taken into confidence, and that is why he basically, threw this gauntlet, and the Congress leadership then realized that it doesn't have enough power to counter that, and they have surrendered. And that's what I'm saying. It's going to open a Pandora's box.
Yes, and that is really the writing on the wall, possibly for the Congress party, that eventually everything that is transpiring in the short term, they may paper over the cracks. But who is going to be the next chief of the Congress party? How are they going to function? How are they going to be allowed to be function? What happens in Rajasthan? What happens with Gehlot? What happens with Pilot? It looks like it's an utter mess that has been created, and frankly, nobody will come out looking good or from a position of strength. I leave it at that. I do thank our guests for joining us. Moving on to the other big story that we're discussing, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar is all set to hold a bilateral meet with United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken shortly. This is coming in the backdrop of India's very public criticism of the US over the F-16 fighter jets deal with Islamabad. Without mincing any words, Jaishankar has questioned the rationale behind the latest American security assistance to Pakistan. Now, India had already objected to the deal earlier, but while in Washington, D.C., the External Affairs Minister went a step further, saying, "You're not fooling anybody." Jaishankar raised questions over the merits of the US-Pakistan relationship and said it has neither served Pakistan nor the United States. In the response to Jaishankar's statement, Biden administration just said that India and Pakistan are both partners of the US with different points of emphasis. Remember, this is happening because America approved a $450 million F-16 fighter jet fleet program to Pakistan, reversing the decision of the previous Trump administration to suspend military aid to Islamabad for providing safe havens to terror networks. Now, the External Affairs Minister, a former diplomat himself, is known for his plain speak, and he's set the record straight in his inimitable style during this US trip as well. First and foremost, he made it clear it's one thing to give an aid to Pakistan, but to defend it by saying it is for counter-terrorism, the US is not fooling anybody. He added that this relationship with Pakistan has served neither party. What happened in Afghanistan, the fact that the most dreaded terrorists get found in Pakistan, is a clear proof of that. Earlier at the UNGA also, the minister was categorical in taking on terror forces. His message was clear to the world at large: defend terrorists at your own peril. And that no rhetoric can cover bloodstains, a clear message to US and Pakistan too. Finally, the minister also didn't shy away from taking on Article 370 abrogation detractors globally, emphasizing that the provision was temporary to begin with, and in fact, the article was an act of majoritarianism, not the act of removing it. Like I said, not the first time, Jaishankar has changed the way India is reacting and putting itself across. The question we ask today is whether India is asserting itself the right way.
A relationship that has neither ended up serving Pakistan well nor serving America. So it is really for the United States today to reflect whether this, what are the merits of this relationship, what do they get. For someone to say, I'm doing this because it is for counter-terrorism, when you are talking of an aircraft capability of the US, everybody knows, where they are deployed and what is the use and what. You're not fooling anybody by saying. Having borne the brunt of cross-border terrorism for decades, India firmly advocates a zero-tolerance approach. In our view, there is no justification for any act of terrorism, regardless of motivation. And no rhetoric, however sanctimonious, can ever cover up bloodstains. There's a big song and dance about internet being cut. Okay. Now, if you've reached a stage where you say an internet cut is more dangerous than the loss of human lives, then what can I say?
Let me go across to Michael Kugelman, who's South Asia expert at the Wilson Center, joining us. Vishnu Prakash is former diplomat and spokesperson of the MEA. Michael, let me begin with you. isn't it only fair when, dreaded terrorists keep getting caught in Pakistan, like Zawahiri recently, and they're actually neutralized in Pakistan by American forces? Is it not only fair that India has called out this running aid of the US to Pakistan?
Well, it's certainly understandable that the Indian government would want to call this out. I mean, this is the pattern that we've seen in this U.S., India, Pakistan triangle over time. That in previous years, not really since 2018, when the U.S. had suspended security aid to Pakistan, but before 2018. The U.S. and Pakistan have an alliance, and so there had been many times in the past when the U.S. had supplied weaponry to Pakistan, and understandably so, it had been received very negatively by India. But I think that we shouldn't focus too much on the significance of this. We're not talking about sending new aircraft or new equipment to Pakistan. This is simply, as I understand it, financial assistance to allow Pakistan to refurbish its existing F-16 fleet. But I think that India's response is predictable, understandable, and in line with the response that it has given in the past when Pakistan has engaged, or pardon me, when Washington has engaged in these military sales to Pakistan.
Yes, and what pinches India possibly is that look at where these F-16s get used. They get used against India, for heaven's sake. At least let's not project it as some sort of a counter-terror mechanism in Pakistan. But Michael, before I go to Vishnu, I also want to ask you, this is something we've been debating since the Afghanistan debacle. Look at what happened there. Despite US's continuous aid to Pakistan for these so-called counter-terror measures, why is the US so reluctant in reimagining its relationship with Pakistan, in putting greater pressure on Pakistan?
Well, this is the story of the U.S.-Pakistan relationship, that it's always been an uneasy, unsettled relationship, but one that has endured in great part because the view of Washington, and one could challenge this, but the view of Washington over time has been that Pakistan, it serves U.S. interests to maintain a relationship with Pakistan, including a security one. I think that the relatively new government in Pakistan has provided a bit of an opening for the U.S. to explore expanding the relationship a bit. The relationship with Pakistan, of course, had been in a bad place during the last few months of Imran Khan's government, when he was accusing the U.S. government of having overthrown him. And I think also, remember, the U.S.-Pakistan relationship is a very transactional one. It is not strategic, and you always have to be thinking about what each side wants to get out of the other. And we know that the U.S. is trying to maintain its ability to manage terrorism threats in Afghanistan, and we know that the U.S. would like to be able to continue to have airspace rights in Pakistan. And so perhaps we could look at this. I don't want to speculate too much, but one can't rule out the possibility that the U.S. thought that by providing this new assistance to Pakistan to maintain its F-16 fleet, that could make Pakistan more likely to allow the U.S. to use its airspace for counterterrorism-related purposes in Afghanistan.
Yeah, but then at least let's not try and project like this is going to be counterterrorism, the way these F-16s are going to be used. But Vishnu Prakash, I want to come to you. This duplicity needs to be called out, and Mr. Jaishankar has been doing a fantastic job in calling out this Western duplicity. I mean, the US tries to pile on pressure on India over the Russia-Ukraine conflict, in which we have absolutely no role to play. And just for maintaining our relationship with Russia, or even buying cheap crude oil from Russia, we were being, criticized by America and others. And look at what America is doing with Pakistan. It was very essential for Mr. Jaishankar to call out this hypocrisy and duplicity over terror.
Absolutely, Dr. Jaishankar is spot on, and he is known for his plain speak. But let's step back a little and look at it a little more closely. I tend to agree with my co-panelists that it is not something that is directed at India. It is more to do with the US's own compulsions and needs in Afghanistan, and their desire to maintain a relationship with Pakistan. We don't like it, but US will do what is in US's interest, as India will do what is in India's interest. Speaking from the US perspective, they have an old relationship with Pakistan. It goes back to the early 50s. Pakistan has from time to time served US interests well It's key Islamic state. I'm talking from the US perspective. It is an important location. It is a conduit to Afghanistan and so on. So
no, all that is
US
fair, Vishnu Prakash, which is precisely why I mentioned this whole Russia thing. Why did they expect that India was going to do something which was not in India's interest just because it will look good on America, but then because they do what is best for them?
Yes, it is standard diplomatic foxtrot, nothing more, nothing less. I don't think that there is anything more to it. You know, the US has tried to put its point of view. We have very politely and firmly said that, look, this is what is in our interest. When we talk of strategic autonomy, we will do, others will lie pressure on us. We will do what we need to do. Similarly, when we tell the US that, look, there is terror from Pakistan which is targeting India, they attach more importance, or for them the bigger concern is Al-Qaeda and Islamic State and the Taliban. They have generally not paid any concern to Pakistan-based terror groups. I mean, we have to live with that. But the important thing is to see the quality of relationship. I don't think there is any comparison between India-US and Pakistan-US relationship.
Fair enough, but I think it was essential, especially after the pressure that was being mounted on India over Russia-Ukraine conflict and the crude oil, that India needed to obviously remind America too that, listen, you do what is right for you. Next time, don't try to pile on pressure on us. Before I let you go, I also want to touch upon what Mr. Jaishankar said on the Western media. And Michael, I'm coming to you on that. He criticized the fact that there have been biases in the Western media. You know already what they're going to say. Why those biases exist, whether it's because Narendra Modi is in power now, frankly, that's up for debate. But is it not time that Western media, American media, should stop being so sanctimonious and preachy to India? That's the message that Mr. Jaishankar was sending out.
Well, I mean, the Western media is not the same thing as a Western government, right? The Western media is generally quite free, and it's going to report what it feels fit to report. And so naturally, that's going to entail taking certain positions. I certainly don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with Western media coverage, though certainly one could argue that, you know, at the end of the day, media outlets are looking for big stories and stories that will make news and sell. And so, you know, focusing on negative news, on troubling news, that's always going to dominate. That's not just something that the Western media focuses, that's media on the whole, right? The idea is to ensure that people are watching, people are reading, people are listening. And that's going to entail focusing on certain types of stories, for sure. But again, the Western media is not Western governments. They do not reflect the views of particular governments. They reflect their own views and editorial decisions rooted in this idea of what are the big stories that'll be destined to get the most readers, and at the end of the day, help meet the bottom line of these media organizations.
Fair enough. But what do you make of Jaishankar's statement that there is bias against India in Western media? And also, is there a feeling in the diplomatic circles that they're dealing with a new India, that this dispensation or this phase of Indian diplomacy is different and they're not going to take it lying down?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends how you define bias, right? If one wants to say that if a media organization is focusing on stories that bring attention to concerning issues in any particular country, I guess one could refer to that as a bias. But I don't think it's my place to comment on how the Western media decide to select their stories and make editorial decisions. It's true going back to the pandemic, but even well before that, one could argue that Western media coverage of India has focused on the more troubling aspects of the country. And I guess one could make an argument that there hasn't been more of a focus on positive success stories. But then again, there's been plenty of focus in the Western press on issues like the tech industry in India, which is a big success story, India's enduring democracy, things like that. So I just don't feel comfortable talking about whether it's accurate to talk about a bias. But again, Western media and any media are going to pick the stories that they think will be most likely to get the most attention, those that they think are most important, those that they think will be read. Okay. And I think that's the best way to
of course, that point. Media freedom aside, the reason possibly bias gets talked about is, Michael used an interesting word, Vishnu sir, that troubling aspects of India. Now, he was speaking particularly about the abrogation of Article 370. The problem that happens is that a lot of Western journalists try to give some sort of a message to India about how it's not upholding certain standards or its human rights record without trying to understand either India's history or reality in India. For example, if anybody was to say that removing Article 370 is problematic, they don't understand the fact, which is what Jaishankar said. One, it was a temporary arrangement as per Indian constitution, and secondly, the fact that this article existed in Jammu and Kashmir was an act of majoritarianism. It was not for the minorities in Jammu and Kashmir. So they don't understand the situation, but they still are very preachy. That's what possibly he was getting at.
No, we have to, don't you know that the Western media knows what is good for India, that we are such a small country of 135 million people, 1.35 billion people, we don't know what's good for India. So, I mean, of course, the Western media preaches and tells India what to do. I mean, that is the arrogance that they have displayed. And when my colleague talks about aberrations, or they can only see the glass half empty when it comes to India. There is certainly a bias. There is no denying the fact. And when you talk of press freedom, I mean, that press freedom is skin deep. I mean, the reality is that the Western media takes a cue from the governments of the day and in unison furthers what the government's agenda is, but it's a Western agenda. So we are quite alive to what is going on, and but we also today have the strength of projecting our own viewpoint, and regardless, we are not looking at the Western media for endorsement except for a handful of people here who look at the Western media. They will do they'll further their agenda. India's caravan will move on, and we will do what is right for us. I mean, we have learned this game, and two can play the same game now.
Right. In fact, Michael, I was asking you earlier, is there a sense in the diplomatic circles that the manner in which India is asserting itself is also different now? Is that being noticed?
So
that question is for Michael.
India, which can...
Well, certainly, I think that Dr. Jaishankar has done a terrific job acting as a chief representative of India overseas, so to speak, as the external affairs minister. And I think that he's done a very good job of trying to articulate India's interests and India's views in a way that's understood, and in most cases, I would argue, respected. For sure, we're seeing this very strong, emphatic, definitive, confident tone, and certainly that's something to note. But again, that's just how one diplomat does business, and everyone has their own style, so to speak.
All right, I'll leave it at that. We are, of course, waiting to hear from S Jaishankar and Antony Blinken on what exactly transpires as far as their meeting is concerned. I thank our guests for joining us. Time for a very short break. On the other side, we'll get to the day's biggest story.
Paswan Sayan who got the control of the party. It was the uncle Pashupati Paras who got the control of the party because he had the numbers and also the party symbol.
Well, yes, Anand, that is being discussed as one of the precedents in this case. But at this point, let me tell you, both the sides aren't really willing to talk speculative. It clearly is Eknath Shinde's case that he has the numbers when it comes to the MLAs and MPs. But with respect to the party structure, especially the organizational structure, that is something that we will have to see on paper whether Eknath Shinde will be able to muster that kind of strength. Because in Maharashtra itself, where the Shiv Sena is a regional party, imagine in a place like Mumbai, which is going to pulse in the next few months. There are 37,000 Gata Pramukhs only. So if we are talking of office bearers and party officials and the entire party structure, the game is not so easy. It is going to be tough for both the sides, and it's also going to be a long, winding road ahead It's not that the election commission will start hearing the matter and there will likely be a decision anytime sooner, is a kind of realization that both the sides seem to have. So there is also a sense of anxiety about the symbol in the meantime, because till the time the election commission decides on the plea of Eknath Shinde, on the claim for the real Shiv Sena, what if the party symbol gets frozen? What if the party symbol till that time is given to somebody else? In all those scenarios, both the factions are trying to prepare themselves. So while there is a realization that for both the factions there's going to be a long winding road ahead, this clearly at this juncture is a setback for Uddhav Thackeray.
The Honorable Supreme Court has now decided, after a huge number of arguments that were made and fervent pleas were made, that the court rule on it. The court has said, no, we are not going to decide. Who is the real Shiv Sena? This question will be answered by the Election Commission as per rules. As per rules that govern and decide the functioning of a political party, and it is the Election Commission of India, which is a constitutional body in itself, that will deem who is in control of the party. It's not about legacy, it's not about name, it's not about who is the current president, etc. It is about what the rules say as to who controls the party or who is deemed to be in control of the party. That is the big judgment coming in, or ruling coming in from the Honorable Supreme Court. Let's get the details from Ananya before we bring in Vinaya Deshpande, because this is going to get a lot of things rolling and set a few things in motion in Maharashtra too politically. Hey Vinaya, what does this mean for politics in Maharashtra? Because Eknath Shinde and Devendra Fadnavis together have been saying it is Eknath Shinde who's the real Shiv Sena, Bala Saheb Shiv Sena, this is who Eknath Shinde is, and this is who, they are the ones who have the right to the bow and arrow symbol.
Well, Anand, clearly this is a setback for Uddhav Thackeray, because remember that Uddhav Thackeray has approached the Supreme Court saying that at this point, the Election Commission cannot decide who does the party belong to. The fact that the Supreme Court has said that the Election Commission can go ahead and decide on the claim of Eknath Shinde clearly means that it will now decide on who does the symbol belong to and who does the party belong to. So at such a crucial juncture, when the symbol is in question, when Eknath Shinde has claimed that the party belongs to him, at the time when the BMC polls especially are coming ahead, it is anybody's guess as to what kind of setback it will mean, even if the symbol is frozen, or in whichever condition. Let's not get speculative here, but in whichever condition, whatever decision is made by the Election Commission, the fact that the Uddhav Thackeray group could not convince the Supreme Court that at a point when so many crucial things were already under litigation, and when the apex court was hearing them, the question of who the symbol belongs to and who the party belongs to should not be decided at such a premature junction by the Election Commission. Uddhav Thackeray has not been able to convince.
But here is the thing, Vinaya. That if it is the Election Commission, does that mean imply a major setback for the Uddhav faction? The reason being, the Lok Janshakti Party ruling of the ECI stands clear, where it was not legacy, it was not about who claimed to be in control of the party, but it is about who had the numbers, who was in administrative effective control, not legacy. And that's why it was not the Paswan Sayan who got the control of the party, but it was the uncle. Ananya is with us. Ananya, what happened in court, if you can hear me?
Well, yes, Anand, a very, very lengthy hearing which continued since morning until 4:30 p.m. In the evening, and finally a big win for the Eknath Shinde camp coming in, and a big setback for the Uddhav Thackeray camp, because remember that this would have a very, very big ramifications, because the BMC polls are just round the corner, and that is the reason why the Eknath Shinde camp was actually pushing that the stay on the, in fact, the Election Commission proceedings is vacated, and the Election Commission determines as to who is the real Shiva Sena. And it has been constantly been argued by the Eknath Shinde camp that Election Commission is the right authority to do so. It's a constitutional body, it's an independent body, and does not have to do anything with the disqualification that occurs in the House, because it only occurs in the House. And the Election Commission is only determining as to who the party belongs to now. And remember that since the numbers are in the favor of Eknath Shinde, it is a strong case for him. Though the Election Commission of India is a quasi-judicial body in itself, and it will be holding its hearing itself. But what we have to also remember is, then the last time the Election Commission of India had its day of hearing of this particular matter with regards to the symbol war of the Shiv Sena, the Eknath Shinde camp had actually gone with a truckload of documents, with a truckload of affidavits.
Thanks a lot for staying with us. Let's get you a quick check of the day's biggest stories. The crackdown on PFI intensified with another round of raids today. Across 8 states, including UP, MP, Gujarat, Assam, Karnataka, Delhi and Maharashtra and Kerala. The raids were done after intelligence inputs emerged suggesting that PFI was planning violent protest against recent crackdown by agencies. More than 200 cadre has been detained all across the country. In a big win for Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena, Delhi High Court has directed the Aam Aadmi Party to take down alleged defamatory posts against him on social media. The LG had approached Delhi High Court seeking restraining orders against Aam Aadmi Party's false allegations. Aam Aadmi Party had claimed that the LG was involved in an alleged 1,400 crore rupee scam. A statue of AIA-DMK founder and former Tamil Nadu CM M.G. Ramachandran was found defaced in Chennai's T Nagar area today. The incident came to light when it was found that the statue's nose was broken. An investigation is on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid his last respects to slain former Japan Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and placed a small bouquet of white flowers as a mark of respect on the altar. Abe was shot from close range by a man with a homemade gun while on the campaign trail in the city of Nara and was declared dead on July 8. Indian Prime Minister also met with sitting Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and said that Abe took Japan-India relations to a greater level. In relief to Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde's camp, Supreme Court has set aside a stay on the Election Commission's proceedings in connection with the tussle over the Sena symbol. This ultimately means that the fight between Shinde and Uddhav camp is now in the Election Commission's court, and the quote-unquote real Shiv Sena will be decided. Talking of the Supreme Court, for the very first time, it live-streamed hearings of the Constitution benches. The live streams are a bid to make the matters of the top court more transparent for the larger public across the country. 2 burqa-clad women went on a vandalizing spree in Hyderabad, attacking places of 2 religions in a case that created quite an alarm.
The women were first spotted vandalizing a statue of the Virgin Mary outside a church. They were then spotted walking into a Durga Puja pandal set up a few meters away. The 2 women defaced the Durga idol inside the pandal.
This particular DT was defaced, and this was defaced earlier this morning by 2 burqa-clad women who entered the pandal carrying rods and stones. They tried to damage and they vandalized this portion of the statue.
Accosted by a group of locals, these women were then handed over to the police. Members of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad held protests outside the police station where the 2 women were being questioned. According to the Hyderabad police, these women are sisters and are found to be mentally unstable.
Veteran Bollywood actor Asha Parekh has been selected for Dadasaheb Phalke Award 2020. The award will be presented at the National Film Awards ceremony to be held in New Delhi on Friday. The Dadasaheb Phalke Award is the country's highest award in the field of cinema. Russian President Vladimir Putin's decree to mobilize the nation's military reserves has led to a rebellion by citizens. Apart from protests on ground, hundreds, if not thousands, are fleeing Russia in a bid to avoid being an active part of the war ongoing with Ukraine. A Spanish court has ordered that music icon Shakira stand for trial in connection with tax fraud charges that have been leveled against her. Remember, in July, prosecutors said they would seek an 8-year sentence and a fine of nearly $24 million for tax evasion. Finally, they say fashion hurts, but it went a level up for American reality TV star Kim Kardashian, who was caught struggling to climb stairs in a skin-tight Dolce & Gabbana gown at Milan Fashion Week. We leave you with this video that shows that keeping up with the Kardashians will probably not be too hard.
Do ba 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 do do a do ba do ba do ba do a 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 do ba do ba do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do ba do. I do ba do ba do do ba do ba do. I do ba do do do. I do ba do ba do. I do ba do ba do.
Namaste, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us on this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan. The government finally seems to be taking the right stand rather than looking at post-action or something which is reactionary. They are trying to preempt trouble. They do not want to put India through yet another round of social unrest and mayhem that is being deliberately orchestrated by those who belong to an entity that believes it wants to alter India's DNA, Bharat's DNA. That seems to be their core identity or ideology, ladies and gentlemen. Their intent mirrors that of the Muslim Brotherhood. They are the ones who took to the streets when Osama bin